Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back again. Laszlo Montgomery here with another China History Podcast episode. It's going to be a rather short episode this time, but this will offset some of the past episodes that ran a little long thanks to the occasional loquacity of your humble narrator. Today, we're going to explore another holiday, the third traditional Chinese festival to be featured in this long-running family program, now in its 15th year in the biz. If you'll indulge me, I'll never forget the Chinese New Year holiday episode from 2011, back when I first started the CHP. This was the 30th episode I had ever recorded. And I was in Frankfurt for a show and leaving the next morning on an early flight back to LAX. And it was just before Chinese New Year. And I didn't go to sleep that night out of fear of my alarm not going off, causing me to miss my flight. And as a result, I stayed up all night and wrote the whole Chinese New Year episode, including the recording, and posted it before I left the hotel around 5:30 that morning. Then I set my alarm to 4:30 a.m. and also scheduled a wake-up call with the front desk. It wasn't enough to allow me to fall asleep that night. I'm like that the day before I travel. And then later in the same year, I did one on the Mid-Autumn Festival, a Zhōngyuán. And now there's this one. And with the Zhōngyuán Hungry Ghost Festival holiday coming up, I thought, this would be an opportune time to introduce that holiday that, I hate to say this, sort of slips through the cracks. So let's see what this one's all about. I also want to get this out before the date of the holiday. On the Chinese lunisolar calendar, it always occurs on the same day, the 15th day of the 7th month, which in the Gregorian calendar is usually in August, but can also happen in early September, like it will next year in 2025. And because it occurs at the halfway mark of the 7th month, it's probably better known in the Chinese-speaking world as the Qīyuèbàn, or mid-7th month holiday. In this dragon year of 2024, the big day will be August 18th, which is also the 62nd anniversary of the first time Ringo played together with John, Paul, and George. So Zhōngyuán, the Hungry Ghost Festival, or Ghost Festival, is one of my favorite holidays. Not that they have much of anything in common except ghosts, but the Zhōngyuán Festival is often compared to Halloween, or the All Souls Eve holiday here in the West. And what's especially nice about this holiday is that no matter if you're a Buddhist or a Daoist, this one's for you. That's one thing about this festival that sets it apart. It's as much a Buddhist holiday as it is a Daoist holiday. They may call it different names, but this is one everyone gets to celebrate and observe together. Daoists call this festival the Zhōngyuán month. Why that name? Well, in Taoism, there were the lords of the three realms, or three great emperor officials, the Sanguán Da Di. They're also called the Sanyuan Da Di, the three great emperors of the primordial, who embodied the primordial energy of the universe. And the big three were the heaven official, or Tianguán, the earth official, the Diguán, and the water official, or Shuiguán. Now, for the purposes of this episode, we're only concerned with the earth official, the Diguán Da Di, or the Zhōng Middle Yuan. And on the 15th day of the 7th month, the very day of the Ghost Festival, the earth official, this Zhōngyuán, descends to earth to inspect and assess the sins of all mortals and to pardon them if he sees it fit to do so. And the 15th day of the 7th month, Qīyuèbàn, is observed as the birthday of this middle of the three great emperor officials, the Zhōngyuán. And that's how, in Taoism, the Zhōngyuán Jie holiday got its name. He actually had a more elaborate title. He was also referred to as the Great Emperor Earth Official of Pristine Emptiness of the Middle, Primordial, and Secondary Grade, who pardons sins. The Zhōngyuán 二品赦罪地官清虚大帝. Again, this is the Daoist aspect of the holiday, and is not shared with those who follow Buddhism. We'll get to them in a second. Both religions advocate filial piety, something even the Confucianists can agree on as well. It's been celebrated in China since ancient times, but only became ingrained in Chinese culture during the Tang. It's also celebrated in Cambodia, Thailand, Singapore, Japan, Korea, and in Chinatowns around the world. In Hong Kong, I used to take my kids to Victoria Park the evening of the Ghost Festival to watch all the excitement and take in the performances. Depending on where you hear it from, there are multiple explanations concerning the origin of the Zhōngyuán Hungry Ghost Festival. Growing up in a Christian household, one might have regularly heard about going to hell if you did this or did that or broke this commandment or did something repulsive and sinful in the eyes of the Lord, the church, and any decent church-going folk. Well, in Chinese culture, if you were Buddhist, you'd be warned that when you died, you'd turn into a hungry ghost if you didn't stop your indiscretions and committing misdeeds. In Chinese, a hungry ghost is called a egui. In the ancient Sanskrit, they were called a preta. That term, meaning dead or deceased, was adopted by Buddhists to describe those punished by suffering in one of the 6 levels of rebirth one was sent to in the afterlife. That is, if they hadn't conducted themselves ethically by the Buddhist definition. This realm was the 5th of the 6 paths of suffering. It was a world populated by hungry ghosts. In Chinese Buddhism, it was called the Guijie, or ghost world. And the whole idea of hungry ghosts probably began in India and was disseminated to China via Buddhism. One's karma, all the credit one earned through one's previous actions and thoughts, determine which of these 6 realms you were reborn into. If you're familiar with Buddhist scriptures and have studied or followed Mahayana Buddhism, you can more fully appreciate this festival down to the granular level. It's extremely rich and nutritious where the story is concerned and in the lessons it teaches. Hungry ghosts occupy this realm between death and whatever their karmic reincarnation is fated to be. It wasn't terribly difficult to become a hungry ghost if you never bothered to perform all the requisite rituals and either didn't worship your ancestors at all or conducted yourself improperly or not respectfully when carrying out the rites. Oh, you were hungry ghost or egui material. If you were filled with greed and a thirst for material possessions and thought nothing of the needs of others, you too were a potential egui. Were you stingy and averse to being generous to those who didn't enjoy your good fortune? Were you the deceitful type, a backstabber, a liar, or just plain old mean to people for the sake of being mean? Anyone filled with envy, hatred, jealousy, all of that accumulated bad karma was your ticket to future angry ghostdom. Even dying violent or unhappy deaths could possibly fast-track you to become a preta or egui. Sometimes people died, and either they had no family for any number of reasons, or they had a family who never took the rituals seriously. They might end up as a hungry ghost. Through no fault of your own, you too might end up as a hungry ghost, suffering to no end in the Buddhist version of purgatory. And these rituals that are meant to appease hungry ghosts and honor one's ancestors, at least going back to the Tang Dynasty, like many traditional Chinese festivals, fostered a sense of community and continuity, reinforcing social bonds and shared cultural practices. In fact, the most important theme of the Zhōngyuán Ghost Festival, I guess you could say, is reverence for your ancestors and your immediate family. For those of the Buddhist faith, the story that is most associated with the Hungry Ghost Festival concerns the famous tale of Mu Lian Jiu Mu. Mu Lian saves his mother. This story and its theme of filial devotion offers a nice slice of traditional Chinese culture. It's been turned into a number of folk operas that have become one of the staples of Chinese opera, and you'll see it performed during the Ghost Festival. The text containing this story of Mu Lian saving his mother was found among the treasures discovered at Dunhuang in the early 20th century. Mu Lian is the Chinese name of the main character called Maudgalyayana. He was one of the Buddha's two chief disciples and was someone who had mastered certain supernatural powers. And these included telepathy, teleportation, and the ability to communicate with beings in other realms. The story of Mu Lian Jiu Mu Lian saving his mother, goes all the way back to the Yúlánpén Sutra, first translated into Chinese sometime between the end of the Han and the Jin. In fact, this holiday is also widely referred to by its Buddhist appellation, the Yúlánpén Festival, Yúlánjie. A Yúlánpén, it's a vessel used in Buddhism for presenting offerings. The story's theme is one of filial love and devotion, something that even a person with a Confucianist bent could get behind. Mu Lian had achieved enlightenment, and due to a series of unfortunate events, faced the anguish of his poor mother, named Liu Qingti, in a couple sources I read, who was stuck in a life cycle continuum as a hungry ghost, suffering the most horrible of inconveniences and pain. Mu Lian's mother had been a kind old soul in her earthly form, but one version of the story says she consumed soup that contained meat, and another said she was caught being miserly and mean to a Buddhist monk, and I'm sure there are others. It all depends on which translation of the sutra you read. And some of the descriptions of the extent of this poor woman's suffering were so horrific it's downright NSFW. Whatever her merits may have been, she ended up in Avicii, known in Chinese as the Wujian Diyu. Avicii was the last and most painful of the 8 hells. When Mu Lian discovered his mother's plight, he at once built an altar for her and began performing rituals and making offerings of food and drink, but it was all for naught, and when his mother received the offerings in Avicii hell, they turned to fire and ash before she could consume them. She, like other hungry ghosts, had a pencil-thin neck and a tiny mouth that inhibited her ability to satiate her terrible hunger and thirst. Mu Lian sought the assistance of the Buddha and begged for mercy. The Buddha told his disciple Mu Lian that the 15th day of the 7th month is approaching and he should make offerings to the monastic community to gain merit. And the offerings were made in these Yúlánpén vessels, and thanks to Buddha, the All-Merciful, his mother was released from her hungry ghost state and went to heaven instead. And to honor this act of filial devotion carried out by Mu Lian, the Ullambana Festival was instituted. In Buddhism, it's also called the Ullambana Festival. Tradition says that the Jade Emperor on the 15th day of the 7th month will open the gates of hell for all ancestors, ghosts, spirits, and hungry ghosts as well. And they are all allowed to leave the underworld and return to the world of the living to mix with the people. The entire 7th month is called the Qīyuè, or Ghost Month, and the holiday on the 15th day is part of the entire Ghost Month. Tradition dictates that it wasn't only on the 15th day that offerings are made. The act of presenting offerings to your ancestors goes on for the whole period of the Ghost Month. But it's on the 15th that the holiday is celebrated. When the sun goes down and the evening turns dark, that's when the ghosts come out and mingle with the living. People are called upon to be compassionate and to gain merit by showing their utmost filial piety, not only for their ancestors, but also for those poor souls who passed away and had no one among the living to honor them and perform the necessary rituals. As I said, it's followed by both Daoists and Buddhists. Both have their own little traditions that they do, but the idea is the same. Buddhists will follow the actions of Mu Lian and give alms to the Buddhist monks and make offerings of various foods, particularly 5 kinds of fruits. And one other thing that's performed is to burn money and all kinds of ceremonial and symbolic objects made from paper that will make its way to the world of the ghosts. And this hell money, well, you've maybe all seen this before. It's called Ming Chao. It's like a kind of currency. It always has the highest denominations. Vietnamese dong, Indonesian rupiah, or Uzbekistani som. Got nothing on the denominations that hell money is printed with. It's also referred to as spirit money, joss paper, or ghost money. And it is burnt at the altar placed in front of one's house, never inside, of course. And all throughout the ghost month, the smell of incense and burnt money is present all the time. With so many ghosts and hungry ghosts around during this time, special rituals are held to interact with them and show them respect and offer them a good time, and again, to show compassion. Families will take out the ancestral tablets and display them on the altar along with photos of the dearly departed. And 3 times a day, offerings are brought to the altar. There's incense burning as well. And on the evening of the 15th, there's a great feast, and place settings and chairs are left out for the spirits of the ancestors to join with the family at the table. There will be a huge family dinner with all kinds of special dishes. All should be vegetarian as a nod to the Buddhist aspect of the holiday. And in the evening, when fireworks are blown off and all kinds of musical entertainment and theatrical performances are put on, chairs are placed in the front rows and are reserved for the spirits to enjoy the show. In a Chinese village, town, or city, you'll see them on street corners, at temples, where monks and Taoist priests will perform rituals and chant from their holy books. The priests will also take out food offerings and fling them into the air for the ghosts to consume. Again, this veneration is carried out not only for one's own ancestors, but for all hungry ghosts who had no one to honor or remember them. By making offerings to these hungry ghosts, the living will ensure that they'll be left alone and looked upon kindly by the spirits. It's also a way to show compassion to strangers. In some places in Southeast Asia, a stage called a getai will be erected, and there will be concerts and other kinds of performances that provide additional excitement. And the celebrations, well, they vary from place to place and region to region. There are many different variations of how certain groups of Chinese celebrate the festival. Hakkas, Hokkien, well, they all have their own unique spin. In Hunan and Jiangxi provinces, the holiday is especially popular. One thing that came from the Hokkien was the tradition of consuming pineapple during the holiday. The pronunciation of the word for pineapple in Hokkien sounds similar to the word for to invite back. So it's considered especially propitious among these people who trace their ancestral heritage back to southern Fujian province. And on the final day of the celebration of the last day of Ghost Month, the 7th month of the Chinese lunisolar calendar, the Qīyuèbàn, or Ghost Gate, is shut tight, and all ghosts, hungry ghosts and spirits, must return to the underworld until the following year. And to guide these spirits to the underworld, part of the tradition calls for making these little lanterns made from lotus flowers that float upon the water. And the candles contained inside the lantern, along with all the chanting of Taoist priests, will guide the spirits, both the malicious and benevolent types, back to the underworld. It's believed when one candle burns out, it symbolizes the return of one ghost back to the underworld. And for the entirety of the ghost month, the spirits spoke through these priests who gave them voice and allowed them to reveal themselves. For an entire month, they wandered amongst the world of the living, were well-fed, entertained, and honored as if they were living through all the rituals performed and offerings made.
Psst! The best time to get permanent Everlights for your home is right now. You'll get the best price of the year. You'll get installed quickly. And with Everlights, you'll have the brightest and longest-lasting lights year-round. Show your colors for the 4th of July, for your team's game day, and you'll beat the Christmas rush. Best thing is, no ladders or installer takedown for years and years to come. Everlights is your everyday lighting solution for your home or business. Click the banner for a free quote for the year's best deal.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
You can see how this holiday differs from the Qingming and the Double Nine Zhōngyuán festivals, where the living go and visit the dead. With the Zhōngyuán or Qīyuèbàn festival, it's the other way around, and the dead come to visit the living. The Zhōngyuán Ghost Festival started showing up as passages in history books around 500-600 AD. This shows that by the Tang Dynasty, the holiday was already a thing and made its way into the Chinese calendar. And by the Song, it was already a full-fledged holiday. And the Yúlánpén Sutra, from which we get the story that inspired Ghost Festival, was already very popular in the Tang. The Tang Dynasty was not only a time when Buddhism flourished like never before, Taoism too was as popular as ever, and the two faiths commingled in this one holiday. The Tang, being such a cosmopolitan time in Chinese history, was a period of great cultural synthesis. It's a holiday that emphasizes respect for the deceased, filial piety, and maintaining harmony between the worlds of the living and the dead. While the Ghost Month is in progress, there exists a whole litany of do's and don'ts. When the 7th month rolls around, it's not a time to get married or do anything like move to a new house. And if you have to go in for surgery, you either want to get it done in the 6th month or hold off until the 8th. I read an article from a Taiwan newspaper from years ago that said hospitals were overbooked for surgeries with people trying to get what they needed to get done taken care of before the start of Ghost Month. People avoid driving at night out of fear of some malevolent ghost causing an accident. You definitely don't want to go swimming either. Some hungry ghost who died by drowning may feel the urge to pull you under, just for the fun of it. The food offerings, too. No matter how nice and sweet that orange may look, if you take it from the altar and eat it, or any of the foods laid out for the ancestors and spirits, you will get sick and most likely die. Same with all the burnt offerings. Don't dare touch them or risk being possessed by one of the ghosts. And they like to stick around the walls of structures, so you want to avoid staying close to walls. You also don't want to wear red or black garments, as that will attract the ghosts, as will any singing or whistling. If you see a $10 bill on the street, leave it alone. It may belong to a ghost. And if you pick it up, you'll be stealing from them and might suffer unexpected consequences. And if you leave your laundry out to dry, it's likely that a ghost may try one of your shirts on, so you might want to avoid doing that. And children, they are strongly warned to not go out walking at night and risk being harassed by any hungry ghosts. Parents of the traditional sort will warn their kids to stay inside at night during this 7th month. So, that's the Hungry Ghost Festival. Like Tantalus from Greek mythology, their misfortune is often portrayed as an inability to satisfy their craving for food and water, and their suffering is due to the karmic result of their actions and moral failures. In Chinese painting, they were often depicted with emaciated bodies, large, distended bellies, and tiny mouths or throats. Again, symbolizing their insatiable hunger and inability to consume enough food or drink to alleviate their pains. And the cruel fate of hungry ghosts serves to warn us of the dangers of excessive greed and selfishness. So remember, our actions while we are alive have consequences that extend into the afterlife. So that's the Hungry Ghost, or Zhōngyuán, Qīyuèbàn, Ullambana, and Yúlánpén Festival. August 18th will be the 15th day of the 7th month this year in 2024. Now, I know this might not be possible for everyone, but I cordially invite you to join me in wonderful and historic LA Chinatown on August 24th to join in the festivities from 4 to 7 p.m., marking the Ghost Festival holiday. My good friends Hao Huang and son Micah are part of the group, who are organizing the whole event. They're bringing together entertainment, education, and some good old-fashioned community spirit in a dynamic celebration. Inspired by the rich traditions across the Chinese diaspora, this festival will reimagine the classic Ghost Festival, the very subject I just now pontificated about. If you find yourself within any of the 5 counties making up this sprawling megalopolis, consider joining me and all the revelers beneath the sprawling branches of the iconic Alpine Park ficus tree at the Alpine Recreation Center at 827 Yale Street, right across from Castellar Elementary. I used to teach English there back in the 80s. There's going to be an outdoor Gutai stage that will come alive with contemporary takes on traditional performing arts, including Yingxi shadow puppet shows, lion and dragon dances, and martial arts demonstrations. It's a public event, and no one's going to shake you down at the entrance for a fee. And like this very podcast show, it's family-friendly, and will include activities like lantern-making stations, a bouncy house, and a scavenger hunt. Step indoors to the NPR stage where costume performers, fan dancers, local leaders, and storytellers will showcase their skills. You don't have to go to China, Singapore, or Taiwan. Traditional Chinese culture is alive and well here in Shaky Town and will be on display from 4 to 7 p.m. Saturday, August 24th. The 2024 LA Hungry Ghost Festival is proudly presented in collaboration with the East Wind Foundation for Youth and the talented multi-instrumentalist and musician extraordinaire, artist-scholar Micah Huang, with generous support from the California Arts Council, California Creative Corps, community partners, and the Slants Foundation. For the latest updates, follow them on Instagram at Hungry Ghost Note, or just plain old go to their official website at lahungryghostfestival.com. And if you don't have a pencil and the cover of a book of matches, I'll have all these links at the show notes. I don't know about you, but I'm sure looking forward to that. And if you're planning on attending, let me know. Drop me a line at laszlo@teacup.media, and we could go out afterwards for some Howlin' Rays down the street. My treat. All right, thanks everyone for listening. This is Laszlo Montgomery signing off from the capital of Southern California, the city of Los Angeles. Think about coming back again next time for another exciting episode of the China History Podcast.
As a mom, you know your home is where your family learns to love. It's the place for your little kids to learn who they are, and it's where your bigger kids remember who they were. It's where dreams come to life. Your home deserves a spotlight, and Everlights can help make it happen. Everlights is your permanent external lighting expert. Turn your home into a princess castle, a Halloween spook house, or a winter wonderland. You'll be the hero of your home. Let's give your home some color with Everlights. Click the banner for a free quote.